Welcome to another Reros online video. Today I'm here to tell you guys about the new patch for the game. This has come out maybe like a week ago or something. I don't fully remember. I just didn't play the game for a while. I started a new playthrough on Mesa Plains and that got boring after a while, so I stayed away from the game, but I want to make this as both a discussion of the patch notes, but also another little update to the list. I won't be going through the entire list again because that thing is just way too long, but today I can hopefully take off a few points here, so that's always a good thing in my book. To quickly explain what the list is and what it's all about, I started a list of essential items that I hope the game would be addressing before going out of early access. I started it at around the time where the dev team announced that they would be doing this step later in this year, which happened to be the 5th of December, and I already made a video where I talked about the 1.0 version in comparison to the list, and at the end of it I still had 33 points on there. That's 33 different bug fixes, essential changes for presentation, content, things that they promised and should have done, giving us certain quality of life options which I think would really help out. And it's not going to be just some fluff content for content's sake, it's actually things that I think are necessary to make this game feel complete. 33 points, 33 issues is a lot, and to be clear, after I started playing on the 1.0 version, the list didn't get shorter. I encountered multiple issues that weren't there before, and I would say the list right now is pushing 40. I don't want to go through everything again, but today we can hopefully make it a bit shorter. So let's get into a condensed version of the patch notes. I tried to make a few points a bit more concise. I also took out a few that I didn't think are too important, and especially stuff that I didn't encounter myself. So multiplayer stuff I will only mention on the side because, yeah, I don't play multiplayer in this game, so I can't really get into the stuff from my own knowledge. So starting out with something that wasn't on the list, but I've seen the complaints. They fixed a center of mass issue on the mallet. Front truck should carry weight now. So the mallet, or also known as the duplex, or also known as the Uinter 2662. This one, the new strongest engine in the game. The front truck of it is actually articulated, so it can rotate independently of the rest of the engine. And for some reason, it apparently didn't carry any weight from the rest of the engine. So everything up above and behind the front truck, it was all carried by the rear wheels. I haven't used this engine outside of a bit of testing for my update videos, so I cannot really talk too much about it. But I'm glad that they apparently addressed this, and I hope this is all fixed now. But once again, since I didn't have the issue myself, I don't know what changed about it. I just hope it's all good now. Next one, and this has been an addition to my list recent a while ago. I mean, it's been recently added because I figured out this was a problem. Coal shovels would not be refunding the correct amounts when you put them back into the bunker. So depending on my fuel consumption setting, I will take out a different amount of coal with every shovel I put in there, with every time I use the shovel here. So if I pick up a bit of coal, you can see it went down by 30 units, and it used to be that before this update I would only ever be able to put in one additional unit if I put the stuff back. But now it's actually refunding the correct amounts. If I take out 30 units, I'm going to put back in 30 units, meaning that if I for some reason end up completely running out of coal with an engine, and I come by with another engine that has a big tender in the back, I can now use the shovel to refill the other engine on the fly, and that's a pretty good tool to have. So yeah, really happy that they addressed this, especially this quickly, and yeah, this is a good change. This is a point that I can take off my list, so really happy about this one. Next one is fix an issue where it was harder to move trains from a stop. And yeah, this has been a huge problem with my playthrough. As soon as I have multiple cars to my engine, I start the engine, I try running it, and some of the cars will just act as if they are yeah, completely ignoring that they are being pulled on. They will still act as if they were like immovable objects, and that means yeah, I start getting going and suddenly the train will stop abruptly and I'll have to yeah, just let go of the regulator, pull it again, and hopefully on the second, third or fourth try, depending on how long the train is, it will finally all get going, and this can also potentially lead to derailments. Huge issue. See many complaints about it on the Reddit, and it also has been on my list, so glad to take that one off as well. This has been a huge detriment to my enjoyment of the game. So yeah, next one. They fixed an issue where players couldn't connect rails under the open air engine sheds, and this has been in the game for a while. I'm glad that they got rid of it, because in the recent past I tried to build a few engine sheds as housing for some of my engines, and when you place on the shed and then try to build your track below it, you could end up with a scenario where maybe at this point this is how far you get the track in, and then you want to connect one of the stoppers or something else, or you need to make a curve from here, and it just wouldn't work because of you not being able to get the linkage point at that point. I would then have to delete the engine shed and get that in later again, but I'm glad that this is not a problem anymore. So this is all now working as it should. And there's also been another issue which has been mentioned here, and that has to do with weather settings. So if I go into gameplay and just set it to blizzard real quick, you will see that snow starts accumulating, and for some reason below these engine sheds you wouldn't get any snow, which makes some sense because you have a roof on the top. The thing is, instead of snow, you will start accumulating the embankment material, so the entire thing would get buried under dirt essentially. That's now been fixed. I kinda wish they made it so that you maybe wouldn't get any snow or less snow below the engine sheds to begin with, because this stuff is kinda sheltered, but hey, this works. Let's quickly check how it goes in the completely enclosed engine sheds. I think at the very least we should not see any snow accumulating, which might be the case from me looking at this. But yeah, I'd rather have snow in here than weird little dirt piles. So this is already a huge improvement. And given that these ones are open in the front and back, and one version actually also on the side, it's not too unrealistic to have some snow come in. They are not fully sheltered, but they are also not fully exposed, so I don't know. This one seems to be safe though, as it should be. Okay, let's turn off the snow again, because for the next one I actually need some visibility. Back to clear skies. The stuff should be melting in a moment. Because the next thing is that link and pin connection points were not showing up at the rear of the cab when trying to connect the tender to the engine. I don't know if I should even call this link and pin, because I think the correct term is a drawbar. One of the engines that had this issue is the Montezuma, so I'm going to just get this one. And we are going to get in the drawbar. For some reason, this is also an old bug that I thought they fixed. You've seen how much the stuff moved around. It didn't spawn on the track correctly, so this seems to be another issue that just came back. Oh, and for some reason it just came with a coupler to begin with, or with a pin here. But yeah, these parts didn't show up all the time, or they were really hard to find with some engines. The Montezuma, the Eureka was another one of those where it didn't really want to work out too well. So let's quickly check that one as well. And yeah, you can see it doesn't always fully land on the track right away. But yeah, this is much easier now. I think before it I could only get the coupling point from down here, so that was quite annoying, and it's definitely a lot better now. I'm not going to test this with any and every engine, but from the two that I've dealt with before recently, this is a huge improvement. So glad that they took care of that one, and I'm just going to assume it's better for every single engine now. Okay, on to the next one. They fixed an issue with tunnel portals stopping some cars from entering them. So on the Mesa map you have some pre-made tunnels, and you sometimes just weren't able to get into them with certain cars. They would just bounce off as if they hit a wall. I know that the large water tank cars were one of those, and it only happened with certain tunnels, I think, but yeah, glad that got fixed. That was definitely a weird one to have to begin with. I wonder if nope, they didn't fix anything about the water in the cars, because this thing is actually empty. As you can see here, freight 0 out of 0. So that's still an existing one. But yeah, glad that they took care of that weird bug. Don't know how that came to be to begin with. So where was I? Fixed an issue where weather was not synced for the hosts and clients. Or to the hosts for the clients, whatever. So yeah, server running and having stuff sync between hosts and clients is a general problem in this game from what I've seen, and they made several other fixes to this. For example, for some reason, sometimes you would get the wrong color on the engine if you were a client, and also in general it seemed like there was an issue with when you buy an engine with the tender wouldn't always come with the correct color scheme. I haven't encountered that, but the only tender engine that I got in my playthrough is actually the Eureka over here, and that only has one paint job, so I cannot confirm or deny it, but apparently that got fixed as well. We'll have to see about it, but I believe they got rid of that. The next one. They fixed the roundhouse doors automatically opening all the time. So if I quickly go and place one of those, right here the 4-stall roundhouse, it has automatic doors, which should only be opening for the engines when you approach them. But for the longest time they would always open even if you were just approaching on foot, and that was kinda weird and annoying. I don't even know how to open them now. They are easier to see from the inside. But yeah, from what they've said in the patch notes, of course they still automatically open when you actually approach them with an engine. But in addition to that, by default, when you spawn into a session, all the doors will open again on their own. So it's better than before, but I still wouldn't call it good with that asterisk to the entire thing. Okay, next one, and this is also a weird fix because the bug was fixed with another update already, but apparently it came back and now it's harder to get rid of. I'm talking about the parallel track tool. So this one, I can only close it using backspace, and it should be right mouse button because backspace is harder to reach. It's right mouse button on every other tool. And this already got fixed before, but the bug is back, and for some reason, in order to fix it now, it's actually more complicated. So apparently you need to go to Options, Controls, and then Placement and Construction is already on right mouse button. But even so, it won't accept it right now, and I would need to close the game again, and I already tried that, and it's still not being fixed, so I have no idea what's going on with that. Again, they already got rid of the bug once, but now it's back, and it's even more annoying than ever before. That's also on the list, and that's going to stay on there because this doesn't seem to be helping with that at all in my experience. Next one, they fixed an issue where the 10 mile didn't have the extended link when in manual coupler mode. So the 10 mile engine, I should have it somewhere over here. Right here. So yeah, slightly extended link and pin, although I don't know why it needs that on the back. Seems like you could also go with a regular one, but sure, whatever. They've actually been very weird with their extended link and pin now, especially on the shorter cars, and that's a whole nother issue. That's a lot of stuff that I added, especially for those, because they just look weird and broken in all different ways now. Did they? No, they didn't change this one. The thing is, they basically extended the hitbox of the car, so if I... You know what, let me just quickly show you guys. If I try to run that car into another one by quickly derailing it onto a slope track like this one over here, I hope this is going to work. It's not going to completely push into the other one because it now has... Oh. An invisible hitbox there. Also, that one was a bit weird. It's still not saving the slope of the grade. Also, they said that they fixed this stuff and it doesn't seem to be better than before. We'll get to that in a moment. But yeah, if I re-rail this water tank car onto this bit of track here. Let's open up the brakes. You will see that it doesn't really run into the car here. It's going to get close, but the shorter cars now all have an extended invisible hitbox because they try to make this work with the other thing. Also weird that apparently part of the pin, the flange plate here is actually inside the car and not properly connected to the end. So this is still all weirdly kinds of broken. All just acting pretty weirdly, so yeah. Where was I? Okay, yeah, that was the long coupler rant. The other cars at least have the extended coupler. This one for some reason didn't get that. Let me just try and get this a bit closer to really show off what's going wrong here. So I don't want it to actually run too quickly. But yeah, it just stops very early. Ah, now it's coming back and yeah, doesn't even reach, and apparently this is all connected now. It looks even worse if you have two of the water tankers, but I'm not gonna get into that. That would just make the whole thing unnecessarily long. Next one, finally. Fixed an issue where the boxcar and the D and RG boxcar is, I think, the longer one. It didn't have a floor texture. I didn't use those boxcars in the recent update, so I was kind of trying to get to that point, but I wasn't quite there yet, so cannot really speak about that. But apparently it was a thing, and well, at least they fixed it. Fixed an issue when opening the map, the third-person driving UI caused the mouse cursor to go away. I was a bit confused for a moment because it said the third-person driving US or us, I don't know. But yeah, that was a long-standing issue, and it was very annoying because whenever you go into this view, you need your mouse cursor in order to activate anything in here, in order to deal with a brake, reverser, any other instrument. And if you then open the map and clicked into it and close it again, suddenly your camera would be completely bound to the mouse, and without the mouse button showing, you cannot really do anything here. And this has been another one of those highly annoying things about the last update. Also a few updates beforehand. So that's been another thing on the list which I'm happy to get rid of, because that's just been annoying, and thankfully it has been fixed. Fixed an issue where it was harder to delete the three-way switch. I encountered that when trying to embed it into the new pier on the Mesa map. I tried to halfway embed one of those switches in there in order to make it look like the ties weren't there. And that caused me to be unable to delete it, and it's been a whole issue. So basically I wanted it to look somewhat like this over here. And if I did it, I couldn't then remove the switch anymore. But now at least they made the indicator something that you can target for deletion. So that's a lot better now. Okay, next one. Fix an issue where the minimap would fade out icons too early. I don't know what's really meant with that. But yeah, glad that they addressed this as well. And they fixed an issue where track places the wrong direction. As we've just seen, it didn't really fully fix it, because otherwise this track should be going the other direction now and not this one here. The thing is, you may not really think much of it, as it seems to be a weird issue. I mean, you would only expect it to encounter this whole thing when you already have two splines connected to each other. The thing is, this becomes very much a problem when you do something like this. You have your track on one end, you have a stopper on the other side of the snapping point, and the stopper, of course, doesn't come with any ballast below it. The same if you want to set up a switch or something on the bridge. So you may need to get some groundwork down below afterwards, and if you cannot reliably get the stuff to place in the direction you want to, as it is right here, was definitely facing the other direction, this is annoying, and I don't know how to fix it. This has been on the list for a while, and honestly it's going to stay there because this has obviously not been fixed. And stuff like this is also why I'm a bit skeptical when it comes to bug fixes, because this isn't the first time they said they addressed something, and if I try to check it, I find that the issue is very much still there as it was beforehand. So not taking that point off because obviously still an issue. Last one, and this is another one that got fixed months ago and I cannot explain why it's been back. And I'm also not entirely sure if it's been fixed because the three-way switch had issues for a while where if you connect something to the right hand fork over here, it would come off at a very weird angle. This one is actually looking alright now. Let's go with another straight piece of track so it's easier to track down. And yeah, this seems to be fixed. So that's all good. The thing is, what I really require from this switch is that basically if I do something like this, I connect another set of switches over here and just have a piece of straight track in the middle. And I just extend this into a yard or something. If I go on the left hand fork first and then on the right hand fork of the second track, this one needs to be parallel to the middle track again and the same on the other end. And if one of the links is broken, this is not going to be the case. They're either going to move away from each other or towards each other, and that's just making track building so much of a pain. But yeah, this seems to be fixed now. Let's quickly check for the 45-degree crossover pieces, because they had the same issue. I will say though that this issue isn't consistent, or it hasn't been consistent, so it might show up, it might not, and I don't really know what to tell you guys about it. We can try and place a few switches down here. These all seem to be straight, so that's good, but who knows if this has actually been addressed. I tried recreating this for a tutorial recently and it gave me problems where I couldn't get the whole thing going despite it not being fixed. So I can't tell you if this is still a problem or not, but right now it seems to be good, so yeah. Not much else to say here, but I hope this has been addressed. If not, I will likely encounter it sooner or later. But yeah, this has been the little update to the game and also the stuff that I'm going to change about my list. Because at the end of the day, a few points here have been addressed and that's always a good thing. I always like the game to get better instead of worse, and while I can at least tell that not everything that they said they have done and dealt with has really been taken care of, quite a few things are better now, so really happy about that. Everything else we're gonna have to see in the future. I don't expect any other patch anytime soon, but hopefully next year we will get another few updates which will take care of certain bugs and that kind of stuff. Because the game definitely still has a way to go and I would like to see it get there at some point. Anyways, with that all being said, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed or at least found this useful. Let me know your opinions of the patch and the recent update as a whole in the comments down below. And see you guys next time with likely more Mesa Plains. Until then, thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed. See you next time, have a good one, and bye bye.